Good evening, I'm David Leiden.
And I'm Whitney Amen. 9 and 10 News at 6 starts now. Neighborhoods and businesses destroyed. Damage everywhere you turn. And lives lost after an EF3 tornado touched down in Gaylord.
Tornadoes on the ground, 32 in Myrna.
The system that saved lives with just 8 minutes of time to prepare.
We could have had a lot more injuries if we wouldn't have had that advance alert.
And a community picking up the pieces together.
I've always believed there's good to be found in these tragedies. And, you know, a lot of times it brings out the best, the worst circumstances, the best in people.
Plus, how to make sure your help goes to the right place. Our live team coverage of the devastation in Gaylord starts now.
Tornado-warned storm right here for Otsego County.
Clear, 32 in Myrna, tornado on the ground in the city. 1547.
We have a major tornadoes right here.
Thank you for joining us tonight. The Gaylord community continues their recovery after a deadly EF3 tornado ripped through there on Friday afternoon, leaving 2 people dead and dozens hurt.
Emergency crews have worked nonstop since Friday to begin cleaning up their community. Northern Michigan's news leader was there live in the aftermath of the tornado Friday night. And tonight, we are bringing you live team coverage from the devastation in Gaylord. 9 and 10's Kevin Essebeggers, Chelsea Dickens, Eric Lloyd, and Bill Freilich are all on the ground in Gaylord tonight and bring us live reports.
And Tom O'Hare is here in the studio walking us through the history of these types of tornadoes in Michigan. But first, we'll toss things over to Kevin to start our live coverage from Gaylord. Kevin?
Whitney and David, when you take a look at the devastation here at Nottingham Forest Park, it's actually amazing that more people weren't hurt or even killed here. Of course, 2 people did lose their lives in the powerful storm that moved through Friday. And there's plenty of activity here today. The sound of chainsaws has been pretty much nonstop as the cleanup continues. 9 and 10's Bill Freilich starts our team coverage tonight with the volunteers and first responders who jumped in to help.
Hey, good evening, Kevin. Well, the emergency manager here says they had an 8-minute warning, a brief window, and a heads up that the storm was in fact coming. Now today, they're getting a chance to assess the damage, but also give us some perspective on who answered the call for help.
We're at 48 injured and 2 fatalities.
A few more injuries since the update over the weekend, some of them still critical. Getting help was also critical. Hundreds of people responded to the scene.
I had 5 engines and a supervisor come out of Grand Traverse County and Benzie and Leelanau, and I had 5 ambulances from the respective counties coming to help me.
The emergency management director says they also had help from surrounding counties, plus 40 first responders from Oakland County, another 20 from Metro Detroit.
We've had people come as far away. I know my officer spoke to somebody from Pittsburgh that came to help out in the cleanup, people from Ohio, people from Indiana. Just an amazing outpouring of people.
Early counts reveal 1,500 volunteers and damage to 300 homes throughout Gaylord.
Close community response has been amazing. I've seen people that I've known for the last 25 years out on the street with chainsaws and tractors. In those buildings.
Many victims were trapped in their cars or tossed around in their cars, rolled down the road in their cars. When you see it on TV or Joplin, wow, you know, I feel for them, you know, I just, you know, you see the devastation. But when it's in your neighborhood, it's a different story. It's real life.
And as crews continue their cleanup efforts in the coming days, we've also learned that FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, could be here to assess the damage later this week. Live in Gaylord, Bill Freilich, 9 and 10 News.
Thanks, Bill. People here in Gaylord were given just 8 minutes of warning time from when the tornado was spotted on radar until it hit the ground. And officials say that time saved lives. People were alerted by the county's code red alert system. Otsego County has never had true tornado sirens like many communities, but Emergency Manager John Deming says the influx of cell phones and devices makes the county-wide alert system the safest and most efficient system.
To have those individual sirens and it's properly placed to affect residential areas, if you're in a big building, you wouldn't hear them. You know, they're just not sound penetrating enough. And when you heard it, where would you, you know, what's it telling you? Yeah. Just a noise. Now you're getting all the information you need. You know, like on Friday, you know, you have a tornado and take cover now.
The county says the alert system can be used for anything from weather to fire or even boil water advisories. After a traumatic event, people may be experiencing a wide range of emotions now, or they may experience them in the future. Counselors, therapists, social workers, pastors are all on standby this week, and they'll be so in the future as well for those who just need someone to talk to. 9 and 10's Chelsea Dickens is live at the United Methodist Church here in Gaylord to share their resources and what's available. Chelsea.
Kevin, there can be no doubt there are still people in the community of Gaylord processing exactly what happened during the tornado on Friday. I spoke with several people in the community who are ready and willing to help anyone processing what exactly occurred last week.
The trauma looks different for everybody, but what I have seen in my individual sessions is the impact that trauma can have on the brains and in the bodies of these individuals.
Jessie Thompson is a clinical social worker offering free sessions this week to people in need at the United Methodist Church.
Seeing the impact with my own family is what really made me feel like, gosh, we've really got to it's an obligation to use the gifts and resources I have to help others.
But for anyone, it's important to check in with yourself after experiencing a devastating event like Friday's. Gaylord High School students have been helping their peers with fundraisers. Meanwhile, staff are finding which students might have been affected the most.
If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to then turn around and help others.
And congregations have also been coming together, finding comfort in helping their neighbors and praying for them.
For me, I think it was the pastoral prayer moment where people, there were people who in tears. At that moment, there was a lot of release of tension, a release of maybe some anxiety. That people were experiencing, wanting to be able to express that in a healthy way.
And it can take up to several weeks for people to really see those signs of trauma and to actually begin processing what happened Friday after trying to pick up their lives after the storm. Live in Gaylord, Chelsea Dickens, 9 and 10 News.
Thank you, Chelsea. And school was in session for kids in Gaylord today to bring students together in this difficult time. The Gaylord High School Student Council put on a field day at the high school that was originally scheduled for Friday. The field day is part of their charity week that they do every year. This year's charity fundraiser goes to Caring Home Youth Project. Students have raised more than $10,000 the past week by selling shirts, ice cream, and more. They also collected donations today to be able to participate in Field Day, and they've raised thousands more.
Since I've been alive, this has never happened. So, I mean, I know a lot of me and my friends, a lot of kids that go to Gaylord High School, went to different neighborhoods and the fairgrounds yesterday, and we're helping pick up everything. But it's definitely a huge shock, and it's very, sad.
Caring Home Youth Project helps people experiencing homelessness get back on their feet by supplying essential items. Well, the response to the needs in the Otsego community, Otsego County community, has been overwhelming. But with so many people looking for help and those willing to offer it, there are also those that want to take advantage. 9 and 10's Eric Lloyd is live with how you can protect yourself from scam artists. Eric?
Yeah, Kevin, just imagine the people that lived in this home or some of their neighbors just at this point in their life, and many around the Gaylord area. This is one of the lowest points in their lives. And the last thing they need are scam artists to come in and make their lives even worse. But unfortunately, it's times like this is when they tend to pounce.
We understand that there's going to be kind neighbors and people who are offering a lending hand for free, which is totally fine. We want to talk about the people who are going to be asking for money.
Most people see this devastation and want to help. Others see it as an easy target. So it's on those looking for help to watch their backs. When getting a contractor to help put their lives back together, it's on the homeowner to do the research. Unfortunately,
get their information, get their company name, get some contact information, and do some research before you give someone money.
A legitimate contractor would never ask for all the money up front, never agreed to that. And speaking of money, there's those looking to donate it. Another easy target for scammers, spreading fake charities online.
Donate it to well-known organizations that you know are doing something and have an impact in that community and have the resources to do it.
That includes crowdfunding sources. A page may say it's raising money for a certain family, but unless you can vouch for them, it may be wise to stick with established charities.
Not only could it be someone who's just trying to take advantage of the situation, has no connection to that family or that community, but it could also be someone who has a lot of good intentions, but really doesn't have the resources to provide that money or get those supplies to those actual victims.
Helping should be an easy process, but you also want your contributions to be spent wisely.
Ask questions before you give.
Now, the Better Business Bureau has a list of approved contractors on their website that you can use when you're trying to make your decision. And then the Attorney General's website has some forms in there that you can fill out if you feel like you've been the victim of a scam. Both those links will be found connected to this story on our website at 9and10news.com. Live in Gaylord, Eric Lloyd, 9 and 10 News.
Of course, hundreds of people and businesses will be making insurance claims as they look to rebuild or repair from the Friday storm damage. Local insurance agents say that one thing is key: keep all receipts of anything purchased to repair the property. They also say to take as many photos as possible to document the damage before repairs are made. The first moves should be made to repair or shore up any parts of the home that could lead to more damage, like the roof or missing windows. The more prepared and thorough you are in your claim, the faster it can get processed, especially in a situation with hundreds, if not thousands, of claims made in just a week's time. Well, when the tornado devastated Nottingham Forest here, leaving families with basically nothing and nowhere to go, Gaylord's tourism community stepped up to help meet their basic needs.
Hospitality jumped right in and started housing the people that were displaced. It was a no-brainer. We all took them in.
Gaylord hotels like the Fairfield Inn and Suites are housing several of the displaced families from Nottingham.
Well, we have one particular couple. They don't have anything left. They were in their living room and a tree just demolished.
And donations from all over the state are showing up at the hotel.
So we have some people that are donating locally that bring things here, because we're obviously open 24 hours a day. It's a good drop-off facility, and then we bring it to the United Way, or we take care of it.
The Gaylord Tourism Bureau says the tourism industry has stepped up in a big way, not just in Gaylord.
It's been amazing to see communities in Michigan rally around a community that's hurting and struggling. Honestly, I might get a little emotional about it because it's just been overwhelming.
And they want people to know that despite the tragedy Friday, they are ready to welcome visitors.
Fortunately, none of the golf courses in the area were affected. None of the hotels were affected at all. Within 48 hours, the power was back at all of those motels. Our downtown is perfectly intact. Nothing's been done there.
And that means big events like Alpenfest are still a go. And the Gaylord hotels and tourism industry that will welcome the crowds can be proud of what they've done since Friday.
Not even a question. And everybody knows in Gaylord that, you know, you just ask somebody and they're going to come help you.
Job just like I do.
Yeah.
Just respect.
Local nonprofits like United Way and the Otsego County Community Foundation are helping pay for some of those displaced to stay in hotels, so the outpouring of support just does not stop, and neither does our coverage. We will have continuing coverage on the effort to make Gaylord right again in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. Guys, back to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much for your live coverage today. And our Doppler 9 and 10 weather team was tracking that tornado Friday down to the second when it touched down in Gaylord.
And it was confirmed as an EF3 tornado. But how does that compare to storms in northern Michigan in the past? Chief Meteorologist Tom O'Hare joins us now with a look back at the history of these kinds of storms in our area. Tom?
Well, Whitney, really, EF3 storms we just don't typically see in northern Michigan, maybe a few more downstate, but not this far north. Again, EF3 winds of 150 miles per hour, width of 200 yards. We're talking basically 1/8 of a mile wide at the maximum. That was incredible. Myra to Spar, again, went through Gaylord and out towards the east, and Spar lifting back up into the sky. So comparison, when was the last time something kind of this big was out there? We're talking back July 3rd, 1974. Storm from Chestonia to Elmira, a tornado of F3 status, roughly winds 158 to 206. So it was a little bit stronger, but still it was comparable in the amount of damage out there. Max width here, only 67 yards for a very, very small tornado on the ground. So first tornado hit Gaylord. This is the one we're talking about right now. Again, closest was July 3rd, 1974. Again, Chestonia to Elmira. We're talking about more recently, though, 1998, Gaylord area had straight line damage. Winds of 100 miles per hour. But those EF3 storms, last one was 2012, and your Dexter and BHF for that was 2007 in Ingham County.
All right, thank you, Tom. And as we wrap up our coverage of the devastation in Gaylord tonight, we want to touch on the numbers of Friday's deadly tornado. It was on the ground for a total of 20 minutes, from approximately 3:35 to 3:55 p.m. It had an EF rating of 3, and that means it's considered a strong tornado. It traveled a total of 16.6 miles through the area. It's estimated that winds peaked at 150 miles per hour, and the max width of the tornado was 200 yards. And it killed 2 people and injured 48. And our coverage on the devastation in Gaylord doesn't stop here.
Be sure to stay with us throughout the night and in the weeks and days ahead as we bring you updates on rebuilding and the stories of hope as Gaylord, the Alpine Village, comes together to rebuild. State Representative John DeMoose took some hard-hitting questions earlier today in Pickford. What these elementary school students asked him, coming up at 6.
Welcome back, everyone. A lot of sunshine in Cadillac right now. Look at the high, thin clouds drifting the way through. The temperature a little cooler here in Charleroi Lakeside makes a big difference this time of year, being so cold out there. And it was a cold night. Yeah, this morning, a lot of frost out there. Tomorrow morning, potential's out there again. Just not quite as cold as it was this morning, though. Mostly 30s for nighttime lows. But concerns roughly from, call it Clare up the Straits. And remember, UP, you could see frost as well. Here's the situation out there. It is fairly clear. A couple high, thin clouds will make a difference. That's about it. Might trap in some heat, especially in the western lower counties. Now, tomorrow looks awfully nice. Sunshine, patchy clouds, warmer temperatures, too. I'm talking about a lot more 60s tomorrow. And then things get interesting for later on Wednesday and Thursday because those cleaning up around Gaylord want some dry skies. And at least 7 a.m. Wednesday, it is dry. Look what happens, though. Here comes that swath of rain coming on through. And that's 5 p.m. And more will arrive overnight and off and on throughout your Thursday. So be ready for this wet weather heading in Wednesday as well as Thursday. Tonight, though, just chilly. Low temperatures down around freezing again. So if you got some of the plants out there, already done some planting, you got to go outside and cover them up, especially eastern spots. Western locations, a little extra clouds, a little bit warmer, but not by much in a few spots. Clare down to 34 tonight. White cloud, only 38 degrees. Now tomorrow, pretty quiet day. Sunshine and patchy clouds and those warmer temperatures when compared to today. Highs, middle 60s across most locations. Lakeside might be a couple degrees cooler, but go inland, looks awfully nice. White cloud up to 68 degrees. Here's your 3-day forecast. So it's quiet tomorrow, 60s. On Wednesday, the afternoon showers build in, becoming a steady rain overnight. Going out into Thursday in spots for many scattered showers, if not occasional. But the warmth continues building in. So when we get to the weekend, it is a lot drier and more notably warmer.
Next at 6, these elementary students got to ask their state representatives some questions today in Pickford. The topics they picked. 107th District State Representative John DeMoose visited Pickford Elementary School in Chippewa County to answer questions from students. Questions that they wanted to ask back in March. Fourth graders from Pickford were stuck in Mackinac City for several hours back in March after falling ice closed the Mackinac Bridge. Well, DeMoose made a special trip to Mackinac City that night to see what he could do to help ease the stress of the situation. The students had a lot of questions for DeMoose that night, so their teacher invited him back up.
It was sort of an adventure for them, but not so much for their parents. These are wonderful kids. I love talking to kids, and I'm so impressed talking to them today because they know so much about this stuff. I mean, our future is in good hands if this is the way we're teaching our kids.
The questions range from veto power to laws to Ukraine and even the paranormal.
Big Rapids celebrated today the years of planning leading to improvements at Hemlock Park. That's next at 6. Today, the city of Big Rapids celebrated the work of more than 2 years of planning and fundraising for free outdoor recreation. It's all because community members saw the need for better physical and mental health. The Hemlock Park Improvement Project will add or improve multiple facilities in the park, including a kayak launch, pickleball courts, basketball courts, and a splash pad. The project committee says today is a celebration of the entire community.
Today is symbolic of the community and city coming together as one to fill a need in our community. And it's a celebration of us coming together and getting the job done.
The project committee was able to raise more than $850,000. 4 of the projects will be finalized this summer, while the splash pad is not going to come until the summer of 2023. The Grand Traverse Resort and Spa is gearing up for some exciting events coming this June. Details on Wolverine Weekend and the 105th Michigan Open Championship up next in sports.
With summer just around the corner, Grand Traverse Resort is gearing up for some very exciting events coming this June. The 105th Hall Financial Michigan Open Championship returns to the Bear Course starting on Monday the 13th and ending Thursday the 16th. It will be the 19th time in tournament history the Michigan Open will play on the Bear. Then on Saturday the 18th, it's the inaugural Wolverine Weekend. Join Michigan University students, fans, alumni, current and former athletes for meet and greet and golf outing on the Wolverine course. You can find more details about these and several other upcoming events on GTR's website, GrandTraverseResort.com. And also later tonight, stick around for some highlights from a handful of baseball and softball games, as well as a special feature on Bedsy Central's Hunter Jones. All that more tonight on 9 and 10 News.
And it will be a chilly night across the area, but temperatures warm up tomorrow with temperatures in the 60s.
All right, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you all for joining us.
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell is next. Have a great night.
Access 9 and 10 News anytime, anywhere. Watch live on View It or listen on enabled devices. Get the Doppler 9 and 10 weather app, plus the best in local sports on the My Sports Now app. 9 and 10 News, Northern Michigan's news leader.